Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Deva and I'm going to guide you today through the Charge Blade. Charge Blade is basically the Swiss knife of Monster Hunter. Tons of useful combos, playstyles, and will never get monotone. We are going step by step through everything you need to know about the weapon itself, the combos and how to build for it. What skills are the most beneficial ones, the difference between element and impact files, all the switch skills and so on. But before going into the Silkbind moves and switch skills, I think it's better to have the vanilla moveset down. I will add timestamps to the video, so depending on how knowledgeable you are with the weapon, you can skip some parts. Since I'm using myself a PS4 or PS5 controller, the button display and explanation will be for it. But it should be hard to translate the buttons because it's anyway showing on the training area and they're located basically at the same spot on all controllers. And if you're playing keyboard and mouse, you probably are already blessed enough to figure it out yourself. Alright, let's start with the most basic stuff. Charge Blade has many different playstyles, but they all have one thing in common: charging files into the weapon and using them for a bigger damage output, or combos that you can only do when you have charged files and a charged shield available. To do that, first you need to know the basic moveset in sword and shield mode. R2 to guard, we will get more into detail on guarding later on. If you press triangle, you have the simple slash, which you can chain up to 2 times ending with a spinning slash. If you press circle, you will do a wacky move which you never want to do. Instead, hold circle and let go at the right timing, indicated by control vibration or the visual animation. It will unleash a strong charging move, which also has the strongest value of charging. This is the best move to charge up your files. You can also change this one into a spinning slash by pressing triangle after it. The color of the file casing indicates how many you will get if you reload them into your shield. Yellow equals 3 and red equals 5. Your most basic combo to get max red files in World was slash charge slash into spinning slash. This was thanks to focus. The skill focus level 3 would increase your charging slash speed, but also reduce the amount of hits you need for red. It's a very expensive but also absolute skill in Rise, which is why no one is using it. Your best option here to get red as quick as possible is charging slash shield thrust charging slash. Hold circle, let go, triangle plus circle, hold circle, let go. Your second best option is slash, charging slash, spinning slash, sidestep by dodging left or right, and slash again. So triangle, hold circle, let go, triangle, dodge by holding left or right on the left stick, and slash again, triangle. If you continue hitting, you will overcharge and all of your hits will bounce off unless you have Mindsight, which isn't really necessary for Charge Blade. Now, you want to hold R2 or the guarding button and press circle to load all the energy into the files. Those files can be discharged by doing an AED. You can do an AED by pressing triangle, triangle plus circle, and triangle plus circle. Basically, every time after you do a shield thrust, which is a triangle plus circle, can be chained into an AED. Let's go to shield charging. You surely want to load all the files into your shield, since it will give you increased file damage, unlock new moves, and have reduced knockback on guards. Basically, it's the same combo as doing an SAED, but cancelling it out by pressing R2. So it's triangle, triangle plus circle, R2. You successfully can start using your weapon now. A faster charge is going straight into shield charge after loading in files. So R2, circle, triangle plus circle, and R2 to cancel out the AED again. Now that your shield is charged, you can also charge your sword. Just do the same thing as charging your shield, but hold triangle afterwards. R2, circle, hold triangle while you let go of circle. When you hear the charging sound or visually see it's charged, you can let go of triangle. This will unleash a powerful charge attack, but since the recovery animation is too long, you usually want to cancel it out with either a sidestep or a shield thrust. And you can change that into an AED or SAED. Yes, an SAED. SAED is your highest motion value hit and it's basically the true charge slash of Charge Blade. It will discharge all your files into the monster, but also doing 2 massive axe melee hits, so you sure don't want to miss them. It's the same input as AED, but with a shield charged, it will always do an SAED by default when you're going for an AED. Usually you use that move on big openings or if a monster is down to not send your Phials into oblivion. If you still want to do an AED while your shield is charged, you basically have to tap the left stick back and triangle at the same time when you're exactly at this animation. Basically, when you see the sword and the axe becoming one thing on your back, that's when you tap your left stick backwards and triangle at the same time. Here's a quick tip: if you use 2 levels of load shells, you can load 5 Phials with only yellow charge, if you notice from my gameplay. It's kind of meta for Charge Blade and it's been used on the Moss builds or even for speedruns because of how efficient it is. Because you do a slash and a charge slash and you're already at yellow. You charge 5 Phials, that's it. Another very cool move is actually the sliding slash, which will not only allow you to evade attacks but also reposition for more accurate SAEDs. You can do it after any triangle or circle move by simply tapping the circle together with a directional input on the left stick. Before we continue further, let me explain you the difference between impact Phials and elemental Phials quick. So impact Phials scale from raw damage and artillery and will do massive KO build up if they hit the monster's head. Power element Phials purely scale from element and will do higher damage on good elemental hit zone. You can check the simple elemental hit zones on the hunter notes. Basically everything that's above 20 is a good elemental hit zone, and element is most likely going to out damage impact Phials. Impact Phials are mostly used for monsters with 15 or lower average elemental hit zone across their body, or for more controlled fights thanks to KO. One important thing that you may already know is that Phials cannot crit. But this doesn't mean that you shouldn't put crit in the build. If there is space, after maxing out the main skills, crit will always be your second best option. Because your damage is literally split 50% on Phials and 50% on melee hits. Like you're not only shooting Phials, you obviously charge up and hit the exits, which do more damage than the Phials themselves. So it's really important to build for crit, but we'll get later into actual building. The Savage Axe mode. You really won't be using Axe mode much unless you're in Savage Axe mode. Savage Axe is basically allowing you to charge your axe instead of your sword, but therefore buffing it massively. To use Savage Axe, you have to change your first switch skill to Condensed Spinning Slash. You don't really need a charge shield to do that, but again it's recommended since it takes almost no time and you have massive benefits. If you do the same inputs as charging your sword, now you will have a charged axe instead. So R2, circle, and hold triangle. Your main axe combos, whether it's a charged axe or not, are circle, circle into triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, circle, triangle, and that's basically your bread and butter combo. If you don't have time for another ED2, you can press triangle again to do a downswing again. For example, for smaller openings, you do upswing, downswing, upswing instead of the side swings. Side swings are basically ED1 and ED2. If you press circle immediately after charging your axe, you actually don't need to press it twice because you instantly start with an ED2. That's the same if you charge Phials into your shield. You can press circle again after the first time to go straight into an ED2. Now the cool part about Savage Axe, which I personally don't like at all how it was made in Rise overworld, is that you can hold down circle or triangle and do multiple ticks. It's basically like a chainsaw. The reason I personally don't like this is because it feels a little bit clunky to me. This will actually also charge your Phials too, so you can keep spamming them on monsters. Another good move in Axe mode is a dash slam. This is very useful to close distance to monster. It's basically just walking forward and press triangle. Usually use that if you're in Savage Axe mode and the monster gets somewhere far away down and you wanna close distance, but it's not as far away to use Silk Binds. The negative parts about Charged Axe is that you actually lose it after switching back to Sword mode, and it drains a lot of sharpness very quickly. So people pair it with a skill protective polish or handicraft to maintain white or purple. Let's move on to guards, guard points, and counters. But now you probably know how you can guard by simply holding R2. However, there is much more beneficial guards than that, which are also quicker and can be used in situations where you normally cannot guard because you're stuck in an animation. The so-called guard point is actually just part of an animation which has a guard active move. A guard point gives you additional reduced knockback. The most common guard point you will use is triangle plus R2. Basically just pulling your axe out at the right moment. The exact moment you switch to axe mode, you have a few frames of guard active. And as you can see, a few frames before getting hit, I'm trying to pull out my axe, but instead it gets cancelled, which is a successful guard point. Now the window is really tight. It's not really hard to learn. I think, in my opinion, the best way to learn it is to go in a fight, preferably maybe Magnavalo, it's one of the best charge blade matchups, and not do anything but guard points. We used to do that in WoW, that's how I learned. I was fighting Diablos, and I was basically just 15 minutes, 20 minutes in the hunt, doing guard points, and you already learned it. It's that simple. A guard point will also allow you to instantly fire an SAD or AD by pressing triangle and circle at the same time. But that's only assuming you don't get much knockback. And different monster attacks give different knockbacks, but most of them can be guarded with a single level of guard anyway. This also can be done while being unsheathed. It's really good combination if you're about to get hit after taking an item but cannot roll or wait it because it's a big area covering attack. So you basically just press the guard point inputs, which is R2 and triangle, and you're instantaneously in guard point mode. The benefit of this is that you're already combat ready or can counter also instantly into an AD or SAD, whatever. If you change switch skill 2 to counter move slash, it will give you a much bigger guard point opening by slowing down the morph animation. However, this can be pretty annoying and punishing if you miss the guard point. This switch skill is always used by SAD builds simply because it gives you a 25% impact file damage boost. So if you guard an attack by pressing R2 and triangle and then SAD, your Phials will do 125 damage instead of 100 damage, for example. It's a pretty big boost, especially if you pair it with offensive guard, which boosts your damage by 15% if you do perfectly timed guards. Moving on to potentially the best addition in Rise Chargeblade, counter peak performance. By pressing R2 and circle at the same time, you activate an instantaneous guard out of almost any situation. You also get 0 knockback, but the most amazing part is that you can fill all your Phials with that move. This allows you to instantly counter into an SAD even if you don't have Phials before charge. You usually start off the fight with this move since every monster roars on engage. So you already have your shield ready charged, even though the fight didn't really even start yet. It's quite insane that this only drains 1 wirebug charge, so you kind of can spam it, especially if you pick up a third one. The reposition is skill binds. In my opinion, this is the second best addition in Rise Chargeblade. Do you remember how annoying it was when you staggered a monster far away or you KO'd it and couldn't get there in time to SAD, so a whole opening was wasted? Well, now you can simply press L2 plus triangle while aiming your stick to the position you want to go at it and follow up instantly with an SAD by pressing triangle and circle, or R2 if you have no Phials charged and want to go back to sword and shield mode. You also do have hyper armor when you use it for a few frames, so it's also really good for quickly evading through monster attacks without getting knocked back. Axobar. Axobar replaces counter peak performance. It's another good move that makes a decision hard choosing between them. Well, not anymore, since on Sunbreak we have the swap scrolls, so we can use one on the red scroll and one on the blue scroll. Axobar has the same inputs as counter peak performance and is an aerial SAD with higher melee hit damage. This is usually used on monsters that fly a lot to dunk them with an aerial AD by pressing circle instead of circle plus triangle in the air. If you press circle and triangle while in the air, it will do an SAD instead. I like to use it in multiplayer because monsters don't always focus you, so you lose many advantages of counter SADs and can't really predict the monster attacking you so you can block in time. but instead I can quickly charge and discharge while it's focusing on other people. I would say it also increases quite a bit your aiming, since you can change your direction anytime midair with as much delay as you want before hitting the ground. Moving on finally to the new Sunbreak switch skills that further enhance your gameplay. The air dash. The air dash is a very cool looking 360 or even 720 launch move with multiple hits. Even more if you have a charged axe, you're going to get some juicy Savage Axe hits with it. The first few frames have also hyper armor, so it's pretty safe to use on smaller openings. You can finish this move with an axe or a sword attack if you want to land near the monster. Or press the circle to do a finisher move which gives you massive knockback but therefore does some juicy damage and applies KO to the monster. It's basically like doing another AED or axe over AED to the monster's face. This move replaces the L2 plus triangle, which is a repositioning silkbind, aka Morph Advance. Ready Stance. Ready Stance is basically yet another guard point, but for axe mode. We didn't have such a thing in Rise before, neither in Vault. It allows you to guard during axe mode and going back into axe mode. Not the most exciting one, but it's cool for being able to guard in Savage Axe mode without to lose the axe charge. It was really annoying. Every time you wanted to guard, you would have to switch to Sword and Shield mode or use counter peak performance, which was leading to losing your axe charge. I only recommend using this for Savage Axe though, because it replaces counter peak performance or axe hopper. So again, here it's a L2 plus circle input. It's very cheap, and with 3 wirebacks it can be pretty much spammed infinitely. A very good use, as I explained on the previous video, 3 massive changes in Sunbreak Charge Blade. You can use it on a down monster after doing an ED2, which is a circle combo in axe mode. This allows you to keep using the circle combo since it's a higher DPS move than the upswing anyway. Firing Pin. Firing Pin replaces Phial Follow-Up, which was the Phial explosions from a charged sword or a shield. Now, instead, attacking a monster with a shield thrust or a charged sword will leave a Phial at the monster. It will be attached to it. You can kind of see it like a Wormstake or a Thorn Pod from Vault. Hitting that part will do a lot of little ticks stacking up to good damage, but therefore you lose the Phial explosions that you would normally get from a charged sword or a shield thrust. However, it still does more damage and it's very good if you want to build up KO on a monster while it's down. So I don't see why you wouldn't be using this, because it doesn't replace any other major Silkbind move, so it's basically kind of free, but we will see in the future how it plays out. So yeah, that was pretty much it. All the new switch skills explained and the old ones, and the combos you mostly want to use. There will be occasions where you discover new combinations of moves with this new swap scrolls, for example like the counter peak performance into axe over combinations, but I will leave that up to you and your creativity in the period of Sunbreak. I want to quickly mention some major skills for Charge Blade that we were using in Rise, without to spoil any of the new meta Sunbreak builds, since I didn't play or research myself Sunbreak yet. But the Sunbreak build system is simply incredible. The builds will completely change than what they were in Rise, so be sure to subscribe and turn the bell on for the upcoming weeks when I manage to get some builds done. Okay, so for Impact Phials SAED, you want to mostly max out artillery for the juicy 30% impact Phial damage, attack boost for additional 15% overall damage, Bludgeoner if you're still not in Mastering and using the Rajang CB or to climb Master rank with its green sharpness is also a great boost of 10%, Rapid Morph, which basically speeds up any morphing move, and Offensive Guard for juicy plus 15% counter SAEDs. Also a level of guard or more to be able to counter SAEDs with normal guard points depending on how hard the monster knocks you back. For Elemental Phials, you always want to max out your element first to level 5, Rapid Morph if needed, a level of guard again, and max out crit and crit element at the end. Again, These are non-monster rank builds. There is many new Sunbreak skills like Element Exploit and others that I don't want to spoil, but will make videos soon. For savage checks, since all of your damage is coming from melee hits, you want to reach 100% affinity first with skills like Max Might, Weakness Exploit, Critical Eye, and Crit Boost of course for the extra 15% crit damage. And the rest can be Attack Boost or Sharpness saving skills like Master's Touch and Protective Polish, because always remember, damage doesn't equal DPS, and which leads to most people making wrong meta builds. It's all about utility skills and keeping the damage up, DPS uptime basically. You want to keep the white sharpness up because sharpening makes you lose more DPS than the 2 attack boosts you would over the 2 handicraft in the build. Hope you all enjoyed this video and was helpful to learning Charge Blade. Then we have won 1 more Giga Chat in this community. If you also want to help me, leave a like and comment, it will be a big help, or subscribe for future content. With that said, I wish you all a nice day and happy hunting guys. Enjoy Sunbreak.